Combining my time in both beta tests for Arknights Endfield and my time spent in Germany at Gamescom and Japan at Tokyo Game Show, I've poured in well over 100 hours playing through much of what this game has to offer. And while even that is barely scratching the surface of what this game has, what comprises the game in its entirety, I wanted to do a video going over my thoughts because the game releases in a couple weeks. And while this video isn't sponsored specifically, I do have a sponsored link you can click down below. This is the link that I use for my previous sponsored streams and my previous sponsored dedicated videos. This is also the link I'm going to be using for the sponsored release streams I'm going to be doing and the sponsored release videos I'm going to be doing as well. Now, I am a very big Arknights fan. I've been playing this game for years now. It is my second favorite gacha game of all time in the entire genre. I mean, I have it on my my phone. I have it on my PC. I'm currently level 120. I have my user ID on screen if you want to go ahead and take a look at that. I love the game. I love everything that this game does. I love everything that this game provides its players. I love the studio. I've worked with them so many times over the course of God knows how long. The last several years, they are passionate, they are professional, they are very hands-free. They allow me to essentially do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. So I've continued to work with them. I think probably more than any other studio outside of Kudo Games, who does Punishing Graven and Wuthering Waves. Punishing Graven, Wuwa, and Arknights are probably the three gacha games that I've been sponsored for more on this channel than any other game or any other studio. Coincidentally, they also happen to be some of my favorite gacha games. Arknights Endfield, though. This game has been an enormous amount of fun for me. It has been a ton of fun for a lot of content creators that I know, that have played the game extensively. This game has a real-time action combat system. It blends fluid combos together. You have a perfect dodge system. There are strategic synergies between characters. There are a ton of different unique skills. There are ultimate abilities. There are QTEs. This game allows for you to field all four characters at the same time, rather than in something like Wuwa or Genshin or Zenless, where you deploy one character, then you can alternate between 2 or 3 other characters, swapping between them to essentially fit the situation or to combo unique elemental affinities or combo specific buffs that, let's say, boost your fire damage or boost your heavy attack damage, or that provide a heal that, you know, essentially appears on the field and that you can then take advantage of if you swap out to another character. This game has all 4 characters on field at the same time, which means all 4 characters are dealing damage, all 4 characters are engaging in combat, and you can see all 4 all cooperating in tandem, and it's so fulfilling having like 4 of the hottest waifus you can all just on field. It's yeah, I don't know, like the combat itself is really polished, very high quality, but then seeing all your characters engaged in combat at the same time just elevates, I think, the dopamine that you get, the satisfaction you feel. More gacha games genuinely need to do this. This game is very expressive in terms of individual character ability, individual character personality, individual character utility. The factory, I think, is probably one of the 2 areas that I believe most people found issue with. The factory isn't something that you need to devote an egregious amount of time to. This is something where you just automate material acquisition. This isn't something that you need to necessarily learn. You can learn the basics, which is just how to place things down, and then you can use a blueprint. I think the introduction of the blueprints upset some OG Arknights players because they thought that that was taking away from the complexity of the factory system, or maybe something else. I don't really know. I think, however, the blueprint system is opening the game up to a significantly larger amount of people, because you can essentially have a friend or have a complete stranger create your entire base for you, and you just copy and paste it down as long as you have the necessary materials to do so. This means that for everyone that loves that Factorio aspect of the game, the manual construction and placement and fine-tuning of every individual piece of your factory, they can make use of that and they can do that. But the people that don't care about that, they could just copy paste the blueprint down. that is appeasing everyone. There is no downside to this whatsoever. This means both parties are happy. Anyone that is upset with that, at least in my opinion, is upset with something that just is all-inclusive and has no downside. Unless there's a downside that I just don't know about, in which case I'm sure someone's going to tell me down in the comment section below. The factory allows for you to design production lines, automate, again, the acquisition of resources, so you can not only craft gear, but you can craft items, you can craft explosives, things that actually benefit you and help you in the open world while actually progressing through the story and doing things in combat. All of this combined makes for a very different experience overall, and also makes the world largely personable, engaging, and replayable, because everyone's world is going to then, by extension of being able to place everything down and craft and design everything yourself, be different, be unique. This also factors into the exploration aspect, which is very different to Genshin or WoWa, in so that you don't scale mountains, you don't run across water. It's very much so a segregated world. There are small little loading screens, and the world exists within that very zone. You can jump up, you can jump down, you can take little elevators, you can take little zip lines around. The methods of traversal are different and are unique, but I think in doing it the way they are, they're presenting the world and the way with which you traverse the world in a different way that isn't and shouldn't be compared to the open world gacha games that currently exist. Yo, I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. The characters are goddamn beautiful, dude. I cannot express just how beautiful these characters are. These are, I think, the best looking character models in Gacha right now. Maybe WoWa compares and can compete, but I think if there is a game that could rival Wuthering Waves in terms of beauty of individual character design, this game is it. Arknights Endfield looks better than any other upcoming Gacha game. Better than NTE, better than Ananta, better than Silver Palace, better than Azure Premilia, better than Unending Dawn, better than Rewinding Cadence. All of them. This game and this game's characters are insane. The performance on PC, for me at least, was actually very light. It didn't lag. I didn't really encounter any FPS issues. From what I played on mobile, it was also pretty well optimized. The characters also feature quite an extensive roster from OG Arknights, but variants of them. You'll see multiple characters just in the previous beta test alone, like Ea Fiala, who was, I believe, Ardelia in this one. We had Surtur, who was Levitane in this one. I'm having to like process their OG Arknights names because Ea and Surtur are both absolute wrecking machines in OG Arknights, at least for me and my team. But I have to do the conversion of names for Enfield, and that's gonna mess with me if there are too many characters that transition over between the two games. I'm just gonna call all of them their OG Arknights names. It shares voice actors, it shares some backstory, some lore, but at the same time, even if you don't know anything about OG Arknights, it's not really going to impact your enjoyment of the game. Mrs. Stix hasn't really played any Arknights. She played more of the betas than I did, and she knew everything and understood everything that was going on without an issue. Speaking of the story, I honestly thought was pretty decent. As an OG Arknights player, as an OG Punishing Grey Raven player, and really a gacha gamer overall, I think a lot of you can relate to this. Gacha games don't necessarily start off like at their peak. They start off with a slow burn. They start off introducing you to the world, introducing you to the setting, introducing you to the characters, and it's slow. It is. It isn't really like too engaging, too enthralling. You're not captivated and on the edge of your seat, like wondering what happens next. No, you're kind of just consuming everything as it happens. And then you get to that point in the story where you're like, oh, holy shit, that happened. And then it just continues to scale from there. OG Arknights has this issue, Punishing Raven has this issue, Wuwa has this issue, Genshin has this issue, Nikkei has this issue. It is a build-up where you're served content and information until it gets really freaking good. The story was decent. It wasn't incredible, but that's because I only had a limited amount of time to play it. I enjoyed what I played. There were certain characters that I wasn't really fond of, like the fucking owl. There were some characters that I absolutely loved and adored, like Yvonne. I mean, how can you not like Yvonne? I think the story is gonna get good, like really freaking good. It was already getting good, already getting better at the point I was up to, but I didn't want to spoil it too much. I didn't want to go too far because I knew if I went as far as I wanted to go, I would have had the tedious process of getting back to that point after the game launched. So I tempered my expectations and made sure I didn't push too far through the story and skip bits of it on stream just so I wouldn't spoil bits and I could react to it properly live, experiencing it with thousands of other people. The other point of contention I think that some people have with the game is the gacha system. Some people love it, some people hate it. There is a 50-50 at 80 polls. You are guaranteed the limited banner character at 120 polls, which means that technically if you fail your 50-50, then you can at 120 obtain the limited banner character, no question. This is essentially a guarantee that you will never have to go beyond 120. But at the same time, that 120, as of the previous beta, as far as I'm aware, and that this hasn't changed, does not carry over, which means if you only made it to 119 out of 120 for that guarantee, once the next banner rolls over, you start from 0 and have to go all the way to 120 again. So there's a bit of forethought that's going to have to go into polling. You are going to have to wait until you have at the very least 120 polls to guarantee it. That way, you don't screw up and you don't lose the guarantee. You can still win your 50-50 at 80, but if you don't, you have to have that extra 40 to guarantee it at 120. The 50-50 at 80 does carry over. That doesn't reset. I know there are some people that believe it does and have been saying that it does. There is a weapon banner present. The weapon banner is actually, I think personally, kind of friendly. It uses a different currency than regular pulls or limited pulls. You can also earn the pulls merely doing limited pulls, standard pulls, which means the more pulls you do, the more weapon pulls you get. The base chance of obtaining a 6-star weapon is 4%. It's actually very high. You get a guaranteed 6-star weapon every 40 pulls on the banner. There is a 25% chance of obtaining the 6-star limited rate-up weapon. Finally, after 80 total pulls, you are guaranteed the limited weapon. This guarantees you will at the very least get 2 limited weapons within 80 pulls, one of which will be the featured weapon. One of the things I like the most about the limited banner system is the fact that characters are going to exist for 3 total banner cycles, which means, let's say, as an example, Levitain releases and then is available for, I don't know, 20 days. After 20 days, at day 21, Yvonne releases. Then Levitain gets pushed back to the second limited banner and is available for another 20 days. Then after Yvonne's banner expires, let's say Ardelia's banner starts, then Levitain gets pushed back to limited banner number 3. And then after banner 3 disappears forever until the character has to rerun, and then Yvonne gets pushed back to banner 3, and then Ardelia gets pushed back to banner 2 when a new character replaces him at banner number 1. Honestly, I think if you plan well enough and you don't just go all in at 80 polls or less than 80 polls, you're not really going to have any issue. Getting a guarantee at 120 is fantastic. And then they have a safety net at 240, which essentially gives you a second limited banner character, which means 240 polls and you get 2 Levitains plus whatever you got at 80, at 160, and then again at 240. You could potentially have 5 Levitains or 5 limited banner characters by 240. The beta itself had so much content. It had tons of regions, tons of characters, so much voice acting, so much story. I am actually very surprised. This game has felt like a complete game for God knows how many months. And with how long this beta was, like 50 to 100 hours for a lot of people, this game is going to be big. This game is going to be long and packed with things to do. The devs themselves have been actually really good. They've made a lot of alterations to the game to cater to players' both casual players, non-Arknights players, and Arknights players. They've been listening. They've been upgrading so many different things, the combat fluidity, the story pacing, the voice acting, adding in and introducing quality of life improvements like blueprints. They've been very transparent in interviews with feedback. They've been very interactive, not only with their communities, but also with their content creators. I can say this personally, and I know a lot of content creator friends that were there with me at Gamescom in 2025, at the Tokyo Game Show in 2025, and that are just a part of the content creator circles that I exist within, that they have been very receptive and very transparent, very open about everything going on. Finally, this game is releasing fully cross-platform onto PC, onto PS5, Android, iOS. It is not releasing onto Steam for whatever reason. I think that's actually going to be a detriment to its success. It really should. WoWA has proven that you can have literally tens of thousands of players playing concurrently on Steam. I think WoWA for every major patch averages like 30 to 50,000, which is crazy. If you introduce this as an additional means of playing for players, an additional platform, I guarantee you a lot of people are going to play via it, and it's going to reach an entirely new audience and help elevate Arknights Endfield even more. Now, this game has been a ton of fun. I don't really have any criticisms other than I wish the guarantee at 120 carried over between banners. I think that's genuinely one of my very few criticisms. Another criticism is that I hate the owl guy. Fuck that dude. He's really irritating to listen to. And that's it. I think if they just do something about the owl and then do something about the guarantee carrying over, this would easily be, I mean, let's be real, it's going to be the biggest, best release of 2026 anyway, but I mean, I'm just saying, those are my little pet peeves. Those are the two singular issues that I have with it. This game is going to absolutely blow expectations out of the water, and I cannot wait to be there day one streaming it. Sponsored live, so don't forget to come on over and join me. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.